Are there any individuals in your life when you look back, you'd say, I don't know how I would have made it without them breathing life into me? Maybe it was a grandma, a grandpa, an auntie, an uncle, or maybe it was just some random individuals that brought you in and they encouraged you, they gave you life. Oh, thank God for some of those individuals when I didn't really have 2 pennies to scrape together and they'd have me over for a great meal. I needed that. Well, hey, my name is Trent Jenkins. I'm our online community pastor, and welcome to the Daily Dose. We're kicking off a brand new series, and we're talking about biblical characters that help shape the New Testament. And today I want to talk to you about Priscilla and Aquila, 2 unsuspecting individuals that really shaped so many different things. It was a woman and a man, a husband and a wife duo that really encouraged Paul in all that he was doing in the ministry. We first are introduced to them in Acts chapter 18 when Paul runs in to Aquila and then he meets his wife Priscilla. They actually invite him over. They're tent makers. They just have a humble little business, but they encourage Paul. They have such great hospitality. So that he becomes so connected to them that he actually invites them on a sailing trip over to Ephesus. And this is where I want to pick up with you as we read in Acts chapter 18. And it's talking about Apollos, this young man speaking in the synagogue. And it says this, he began to speak boldly in the synagogue when Priscilla and Aquila heard him. They invited him to their home and explained to him the way of God more adequately. I love this, that they were encouragement to Paul. They were helping guide him. They were showing hospitality, but now that they were taking all that they knew and pouring into another individual. This is an amazing team right here between the 2 of them. I love that they weren't standing outside the synagogue waiting to be able to chastise Apollos. They weren't waiting to correct him, but they invited him over. They showed hospitality, and then they guided him to the correct version of the gospel, showing him more adequately what the teaching was. They breathed life into him. And I don't know about you, but I love those individuals in my own life. And maybe you could be this individual to somebody else where you breathe life into them and you can help guide them along the way. They were this to Apollos. They were this to Paul. And Paul mentions them so many times, greeting them with affection. And also the factor of who they were. They didn't use who they were as an excuse or what they did as an excuse. In those days, biblically, Priscilla could have used the excuse that she was a woman, and what role could she really have? But half the times that they are mentioned in the Bible, Priscilla is mentioned first. This is not normal in that day and age. The fact that she was mentioned first was given that she was given credit, that she as an individual contributed to Paul's ministry, encouraging him, guiding him, speaking life into him. And so, by no means do we think that being a woman is some sort of excuse. It could have been used at that point in time biblically, but all the more she used her role and said, I can make what is in my life into something beautiful. How can you make your life into something beautiful and contribute to all that God has for you? They were humble tent makers and they used it as a way to be able to contribute to the ministry of others. How can you use the ministry that you've been given in your workplace and wherever you might be, that you can use it to contribute to others? They saw the potential in others. And I just want to encourage you. You don't need to be a Paul. You don't need to be a Matthew. You don't need to be a Chris Brown or a Larry Osborne. Priscilla and Aquila were humble business owners and used a craft to be able to make a difference in the life of another individual. Use where you're at and what it is that God's given you to make a difference. And see the potential in others. And as you breathe life into them, it will breathe life into you. Because now their fruit and their results becomes your fruit and results. Priscilla and Aquila, 2 individuals that help shape the gospel. How will you shape the life of another individual? Thanks for being with us.